In the heart of World War II, as conflict engulfed the globe, a race of a different kind was underway. A secret, frantic sprint not for territory, but for the very power of the sun, locked away inside the atom. This is the story of the Manhattan Project, the monumental and terrifying endeavor that forever altered the course of human history. It all began with a letter. In 1939, just before the world plunged into war, Albert Einstein, urged by fellow physicist Leo Szilard, warned President Franklin D. Roosevelt of a new, horrifying possibility. German scientists had discovered nuclear fission, the splitting of the atom, which could potentially be harnessed to create a bomb of unimaginable power. The thought of such a weapon in the hands of the Axis powers was a nightmare scenario. The United States had to get there first. And so, the Manhattan Project was born. Its name was a clever misdirection, suggesting a simple engineering project in New York City. The reality was a sprawling, top-secret enterprise spread across the nation, from the laboratories of Columbia University to the vast hidden cities built from scratch in the middle of nowhere. It was a gamble on an unprecedented scale, costing nearly $2 billion and employing over 130,000 people, most of whom had no idea what they were truly working on. At the helm was a brilliant, complex, and driven physicist, J. Robert Oppenheimer. Chosen as the scientific director of the Los Alamos Laboratory in New Mexico, Oppenheimer assembled a dream team of the world's greatest scientific minds. Nobel laureates and young prodigies alike flocked to this remote mesa, driven by a mixture of scientific curiosity, patriotism, and a profound fear of a world dominated by Nazi Germany. They were intellectual giants like Enrico Fermi, Richard Feynman, and Hans Bethe, all working together against the clock. The challenges were immense. They weren't just building a device. They were creating an entire new field of science and engineering on the fly. One of the biggest hurdles was producing the fissile material needed for the bomb. Two paths were pursued simultaneously. At Oak Ridge, Tennessee, a secret city of 75,000 people worked tirelessly to enrich uranium-235. It was a painstaking process, using enormous electromagnetic calutrons and gaseous diffusion plants, monuments to industrial might hidden in the Appalachian Hills. Meanwhile, at the Hanford site in Washington state, massive nuclear reactors were built to produce another element, one that didn't even exist in nature: plutonium. The sheer scale of these operations was staggering, a testament to America's industrial power, all operating under the tightest veil of secrecy. Workers were told, "What you see here, what you do here, what you hear here, when you leave here, let it stay here." Back in Los Alamos, the theoretical work was turning into tangible, terrifying hardware. The scientists had to solve countless problems. How do you bring the nuclear material together fast enough to start a chain reaction? How do you contain an explosion hotter than the center of the sun? They developed two distinct bomb designs. The first, a simple gun-type device nicknamed Little Boy, used uranium. The second, a much more complex implosion-type weapon called Fat Man, used plutonium. The implosion design was so revolutionary that the scientists needed to be sure it would work. This led to the Trinity test. On July 16, 1945, in the desolate desert of the Jornada del Muerto in New Mexico, the world's first atomic bomb was detonated. Oppenheimer and his team watched from miles away. As the pre-dawn darkness was shattered by a light brighter than 1,000 suns, a silent, blinding flash was followed by a shock wave and a deafening roar. A mushroom cloud, the now iconic symbol of the atomic age, rose tens of thousands of feet into the sky. The test was a terrifying success. Oppenheimer, watching the awesome and terrible power he had unleashed, famously recalled a line from the Hindu scripture, the Bhagavad Gita: "Now I am become death, the destroyer of worlds." The scientists were a mix of awe, relief, and deep foreboding. They had succeeded, but they had also opened Pandora's box. By the time the bomb was ready, the war in Europe was over. Germany had surrendered. but the war in the Pacific raged on. President Harry Truman, who had only learned of the project after Roosevelt's death, now faced a monumental decision. An invasion of Japan was projected to cost hundreds of thousands of American lives, and even more Japanese. The atomic bomb, his advisors argued, offered a way to force a swift surrender and end the war. On August 6, 1945, the Enola Gay, a B-29 bomber, dropped Little Boy on the city of Hiroshima. 3 days later, with no surrender from Japan, Fat Man was dropped on Nagasaki. The devastation was absolute. The two cities were leveled, and over 200,000 people were killed, either instantly or from the horrific effects of radiation in the weeks and months that followed. On August 15th, Japan announced its unconditional surrender. World War II was over. The Manhattan Project had achieved its goal. It ended the deadliest conflict in human history. But it also plunged the world into a new era of fear. The Cold War. The nuclear arms race between the United States and the Soviet Union would define global politics for the next half-century, bringing humanity to the brink of annihilation more than once. The legacy of the Manhattan Project is complex and deeply controversial. It was a triumph of scientific and industrial collaboration, a demonstration of what humanity can achieve when focused on a single goal. But it also represents our capacity for destruction on a scale previously unimaginable. The scientists who built the bomb were forever changed. Many, like Oppenheimer, became outspoken advocates for nuclear arms control, haunted by the power they had unleashed. The story of the Manhattan Project serves as a powerful and enduring reminder. It's a tale of genius, secrecy, and moral ambiguity. It forces us to confront the dual nature of scientific discovery, its potential for both incredible progress and catastrophic consequences. The atomic age that began in the deserts of New Mexico is still with us today, a silent, powerful presence that continues to shape our world. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as we do, please consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel for more deep dives into the events that shaped history. We'll see you in the next one.